Well, hello. Today we're going to be talking about triangles. Now, how many of you have heard of the word triangle before? All of you? Fantastic. I had a feeling you would. All right, so there are 3 different types of triangles that are classified by their sides. The first type of triangle is called an equilateral triangle. And notice how each side has a little line going through it. That's telling us that the sides are all congruent. Now, congruent sides means that the sides have the same length. So, in this case, an equilateral triangle has 3 equal sides. Or you could say 3 congruent sides. So an equilateral triangle is the first triangle we are going to talk about today. Now, the other neat thing about an equilateral triangle is that since all of the sides are congruent, its angles are congruent as well. Just a fun fact that maybe you'll use a little bit later on. The next type of triangle we're going to talk about is the isosceles triangle. And the isosceles triangle has 2 congruent sides. So in this case, the 2 sides with the lines through them are showing that those are the congruent sides, or those sides have the same length. The final we're going to talk about today is the scalene triangle. And a scalene triangle has no congruent sides. So, those are the 3 triangles that are classified by the sides they have. So here we have an odd-looking figure that actually consists of 2 different triangles. We have triangle, notice the little triangle there, DCB, and we also have triangle CAB. Now, I would like to know how to classify these 2 triangles. Please go ahead and pause the video and give me your answer. Well done, and welcome back. If you said triangle DCB is an isosceles triangle, you would be correct because it has 2 congruent sides. And if you said triangle CAB was a scalene triangle, you would also be correct because that has no congruent sides. Great job. Okay, the next way we can classify triangles is by their angles, and there are 3 of them. The first type of triangle is called a right triangle. Now this triangle has one right angle. And as you can see here, there clearly is a right angle because one is shown here on the triangle. Notice that little square on the bottom left corner of the triangle. That's telling us that that's a right angle. So this is a right triangle. The next type of triangle is an acute triangle. And an acute triangle is a triangle with 3 acute angles. And remember, acute angles are those angles that are between 0 and 90 degrees. So in this triangle here, it's obvious that all 3 of these angles are less than 90 degrees, so they'd all be acute angles. Triangle is an obtuse triangle. This triangle has one obtuse angle. So if a triangle has an obtuse angle, it would be considered an obtuse triangle. Quick question for you. Could a triangle have 2 obtuse angles? I was trying to stump you there. No, a triangle couldn't have 2 obtuse angles because an obtuse angle is between 90 and 180 degrees. And a triangle only measures up to 180 degrees. That's the maximum sum of a triangle's angles. So make sure you write that down. That's important to note. So, what I want you to do after you've written that down is turn to page 337 in your book and do quick check number 2, letters A and B. You may need to pause this, or you may not. You be the judge. All right, so now that we know that the sum of a triangle's angles is 180 degrees, if given 2 angles, we should be able to figure out what the third angle is. So let's take a look at a triangle right now. And from the looks of it, this looks like it's an acute triangle. So we have an angle that's 53 degrees, an angle that's 61 degrees, and an unknown angle. So to figure this out, we can create an equation. On one side of our equation should be 180 degrees because that's the sum of all of the of all of the angles. On the other side should be all of our angles. So we should have x plus 53 plus 61. Now we can go ahead and add this up and try to solve for our variable. So we know we can't add x with 53 or 61, but we can add 53 and 61 together. So when we do that, we're going to be left with x plus 114 equals 180. Now we can subtract 114 from each side of our equation, and that'll leave us with x on the left-hand side, and let's see, 180 minus 114, it's going to be 66. So that missing angle was 66 degrees. And we have now successfully found the missing angle. Okay, why don't you, on page 337, do quick check number 3 for me. It should be fun. All right. Well, one last thing we're going to take a look at. Let's say we have a triangle, and it gives us both its sides and angles. So let's say we have an angle that is a triangle that gives its angles here, and let's check out its sides. Alright, so as you can see here, we have a right triangle, and we have 3 sides that are all different sizes. So that would be a scalene triangle. Well, what you would want to do in this circumstance is go ahead and combine the 2 names. So the first thing you'd put down is however we would call the triangle, or whatever we would call the triangle due to its angles. So in this case, since this triangle is a right triangle, we would put down the word right, and then we would look at its sides and see how it's classified by that. Since all of the sides are different, this would be a scalene triangle. So we would put that together, and we would have a right scalene triangle. Alright, some of these out on your own. Do pages 338 to 339, 1 through 29, odds. Thank you and have a great day.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.